Okay, well, this is gonna be maybe my last episode for a little bit, because I'm leaving in a couple of days for a special trip.
The good news is, based on my schedule, people might be hearing this on Thursday the 30th at the end of the month, because we've got time to fill. And so Peter may not be gone long based on all of you's timeline out there. Hello.
But for us, it'll be terrible.
It will be. I'll be in mourning.
Yeah,
absolutely. We'll be.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Because we talked about so much IMSA shit on the last thing that I think that'll keep the fire burning for a while.
Yeah.
But I'm going to the Bathurst 12-hour, which is a race down in Australia.
Super cool.
And pretty excited about it.
Tell us all about it, Peter.
It's funny. I first became aware of it actually after the first time that I went to the Rolex, when you sent me there in 2017 to cover the Rolex 24. And so I kind of in preparation for that kind of immersed myself into the IMSA world that I had been kind of away from for a few decades. And then had this incredible experience at Daytona and came home, and now I'm just like completely obsessed with sports car endurance racing. And then lo and behold, the very next weekend, there's another race that is on, you can just watch it. It's streaming on YouTube. And a lot of the same drivers who I had just seen the previous weekend in Florida are driving sports cars around this completely fucking insane racetrack at a place called Mount Panorama, which is a mountain. And I was like, okay, this is some fucking wild ass shit.
The Bathurst thing is like, it is super interesting to me because like it is a major international, huge race, hugely important race. Everybody kind of knows about it, except in the United States, and it's like it is like a total
shocker.
Yeah, it's like
people in the U.S. being provincial and not knowing about something the whole rest of the world. Come on, I couldn't possibly.
That doesn't happen. That's not a thing.
Not here.
You talk to like people who race all over the world, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Bathurst is a huge fucking deal," and it's like it is now. I think like because of the internet and because like streaming and stuff, like now just becoming something that's known. But I think like the course, like the actual racing surface is so fucking wild. Like it is so big and fast and like picturesque and like just a really like incredible racing environment. And I like, especially like compared to, Daytona's a cool track, Sebring's a cool track or whatever, but it's like, Daytona's in Daytona. If you've ever been to Daytona, it's not like not really a lot to look at.
Well, there's the Bass Pro shop.
A lot to do there. You can do a lot in the Bass Pro shops.
But the thing is like there's a couple of those in Michigan. There's Bass Pro shops everywhere.
Peter, you got to go to the really big one, right? On tour sometime? The Pyramid?
Oh, the Pyramid, yeah.
The Pyramid,
in Memphis, yeah.
I love a Bass Pro shop. There's like almost every single item that has a SKU at a Bass Pro shop is something that I would like to own. Like most of the stuff in there, I there's a very high level of satisfaction walking around in there. And then like having the live fish tank with like all the big bass in it is like so sick.
Dude, you got to make the pilgrimage to the Pyramid, man.
I would
Memphis.
Love to.
It's really something.
Yeah.
It's next level. I think I think there's actually a hotel that I think you can stay in the Pyramid in the Bass Pro shop. It's like there's a hotel in the Bass Pro shop in the Pyramid.
I could just live there.
You could live there.
Yeah.
You could live there.
To write my novel in the Bass Pro shop Pyramid.
but Bathurst. So Bathurst is like, it's like 3 hours inland from Sydney, and I'm not sure what else goes on in Bathurst. I think it's just kind of like a small town. But there's a mountain called Mount Panorama, and there's a track, there's a racetrack that apparently is actually like, it's all public road. Like you can, when it's not being used for racing, you can drive around it. Although something that I saw today implied that it was fairly heavily patrolled, so you can't go too crazy. But it's just sort of 4-mile track, but it does have some pretty significant elevation. And the way it works is there's kind of there's a front straight that's not super long. That's kind of like at the bottom of the hill. So picture this short front straight, and then at the end of that they make a left turn, and there's a much longer straight, and start heading up a hill, little dip, another back up again, and then a hard right and a hard left, and now they're just going up, a bunch of kind of high speed sweepers, going like up what seems to be a very fucking steep hill. And this is the thing, is like elevation changes, like when you watch racing on TV or on YouTube or whatever, elevation changes don't generally register, like, I mean, if you watch like even like when you're spectating at like Watkins Glen, for example, you're not that aware of like, I mean, obviously there's some hills, but it's not really until you actually like drive on the track that you realize, oh fuck, this is a really steep hill,
Mm-hmm.
And you, especially, you don't see it on TV or video, but in this case, it looks pretty fucking steep,
like a Laguna Seca level of like, okay, we're going up and down a big hill here.
No, exactly. And so they get up to the top, and now it's called, the top is called Skyline. And suddenly you when you watch, I mean, like I say, I have not been here. My exposure to this is just watching on YouTube. But when these cars get up to the top, and now like the shot of the cars like cruising through here, like you're looking out, like you're at the top of like this pretty fucking, you're high up, right? And you can see like off in the distance forever. And then they crest that, and then suddenly it's just like they go off the top, the edge of a cliff. If you've ever watched a race at Laguna Seca, I mean, there's the corkscrew at Laguna Seca, which is this very famous series of corners that just like, where the cars just like dive down this really steep, crazy hill. And there's kind of a right and a left and a right that follow as the cars are going down. What this looks like at Mount Panorama is like if you put like 5 corkscrews in a row. Yeah. Like it's that level. And so these cars are just hurtling down the hill. It almost looks like downhill skiing, where it's like the cars are almost like getting air as they kind of clip these apexes. It's really, I mean, just watching it. Go and watch a video on, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff, just like, type in Bathurst 12-hour or just Bathurst racing or Mount Panorama, whatever. You can see this. It looks fucking crazy. And so they get to the bottom of this hill, and now there's another long straightaway, little chicane at the end, and then they make a left-hander onto the front straight. So that's a lap. So it's, like I say, just under 4 miles. And yeah, it's also, I mean, it's beautiful. It's Australia. There's just eucalyptus trees everywhere. And also the way, for whatever reason, the way they run the race, I mean, 12-hour race. I mean, we have a 12-hour race in at Sebring that we've talked about in Florida, old airfield. They start that. When do they start that race? Like 10 o'clock in the morning, I want to say. Is that right? Yeah. So it goes 10 to 10, right? For whatever reason, for the Bathurst 12-hour, they start at, I think it's 5:45 in the morning. So they start in complete darkness. And then it goes 12 hours from there. So you get this, there's this beautiful transitional time as the sun comes up, and it's coming up over this this valley that like you're looking out onto from the top of the mountain. And it's just, it looks really spectacular. And the way that everybody talks about it who has participated or been to this thing, it's just like this really, really special event. So yeah, I mean, like I say, since I first like came home from Daytona and was like so hungry for more racing stuff, and oh, here's this thing the next weekend in 2017, 8 years ago. I have this has been kind of on the list of things that I have wanted to do. Yeah,
there's a bunch of really good bands in Australia that you should go try to see and hang out with.
So like Midnight Oil. There's Men at Work.
Yeah.
It's actually very funny. The last time that I've been to Australia a bunch of times. I honestly don't know how many offhand. Like maybe 5. But just all doing mountain goat stuff. And the last time we went was I think that was also in 2017. And I had a weird feeling going. I mean, like every time we would go down there, John would make noises like, "Oh, this is too far. I can't do this anymore." Blah blah blah. And the last time we went there, like I made a point of just like, okay, because I really love it. I mean, it's just like, I've always had a good time down there. It reminds me so much of California, of my childhood, of like 1970s California.
You just vibe with Australians, yeah.
I do, yeah, I just do. And the thing is, like, people. I mean, look, as a U.S. American, when you go traveling around the world, I mean, part of what you want, part of the point of traveling is to go to places that are different, right? And to experience different cultures, different ways of life, different people.
And crucially, to be forgiven by those people as an American.
Yeah, exactly. To beg their forgiveness.
Yeah. Like, hey, look, I'm one of the few good ones here. Like, I get it.
Right. Like, listen, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm
I'm here in Australia trying to figure this out.
I'm doing the reading.
Now, this is the thing, is that Australia is not like this. It is the least like that, because it is the foreign country that I've been to that has always seemed like it's the least foreign country. I am more acutely aware of being in a different country when I am in Canada than I do. I mean, if I drive 3 hours to Canada, that feels foreign. Yeah, Australia, like there's a weird kind of just like,
it's the same shit. It's the same idea. It's the exact same. It was like, hey, a bunch of English people went over to this continent and then kicked all the natives off,
displaced a bunch of indigenous people. Yeah, exactly.
And then we did it again. It's America too. It's the same shit. It's the same idea.
But also, like, the way that Australian culture, I mean, it's like this kind of parallel evolution, right? It's like where
like two birds on different islands learn how to open a soda can at the same time. Yeah,
exactly. And so when you go down there, it's like, okay, what are people into? They're into beer. they're into barbecue, they're into
burnouts.
they're into sports, right?
Being mean to the natives and racist.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all, I mean, it's and but also just on a personal level, the way that people act interpersonally with each other is so similar to the way that Americans interact, just in terms of just being like loud, open, gregarious, just kind of like there's not that kind of, you know, that British reserve or whatever that we kind of left behind, and
yeah, it's like a whole country settled by the worst people from England.
Right. But also just like the kind of the rubes, you know, so like we're just like we're too unsophisticated to maintain that level of kind of discretion or pretense. So no, we're just like big, loud, obnoxious, fucking whatever. But for that reason, like I've always gotten along really well with Australians, and we've always had a great time. And so the last time that we were down there in 2017, like I say, I did make a point of just like, okay, I'm really gonna fucking, like, I'm so geeked to be here, and I really want to enjoy this to the maximum amount that I can, because I honestly don't know. This could be the last time. You know, this might be the last time that I get to come here. And that tour, it started in Perth, which is on the far west coast of Australia. It's like the most isolated city in the world, that, you know, as far in terms of just like, you know, it's like 1,000-mile radius to the nearest city of a comparable size or something. And it's like 40 plus hours in transit to get there. And so we get to Perth and you know, get there in like the afternoon or whatever, make myself stay up, go to bed at normal hour, get up in the morning, and it's like, all right, we've got like a full day off just to get acclimated. And I'm just like, okay, fuck yeah, I'm going to go down to the, and it's like, I've been here, you know, it's like, I've got my spots. I know where I like to go. And there's a little cafe downstairs next door to the hotel. And so I go down there, and I'm just like, I'm so just like fucking amped. It's like, man, I'm on fucking Australia. This is so great. And I go down to get a coffee, you know, flat white, right? And I shit you not, on the fucking, on the radio, dung dung dunga dung dunga 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 dung boo doo 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 doo. It's fucking, I come from a land down under.
No.
I literally, like, I'm like, yeah, I mean, it was just so funny to me. It's like, are you kidding me?
Sick.
It's like, did you guys just like tee this up for me? And I mean, I hadn't heard that song in probably 10 years too. I mean, that's the other thing.
Oh man.
So funny.
That was a cassette that I found in my dad's. There was like a weird cassette drawer in my dad's shop when I was growing up, and he had that cassette in there. I was like, oh wow. He said, you know, I wish I could talk to the guy now. He does not know who I am at this moment in his life, but I should have at some point gone to a 1 hour interview about his musical taste, because it is absolutely fucking bizarre. Like,
what else?
Just like Fine Young Cannibals was a huge deal for him, but he mostly liked Motown adjacent stuff.
Interesting.
But like that song "We Built the City on Rock and Roll" by Jefferson Starship. It's like super into that record.
Okay, that's
but just
weird.
like but like a totally incoherent.
Yeah.
Totally incoherent. It was like you know, Aretha Franklin and then Jefferson Starship, but like didn't like any rock music that I like, any like, was not into Springsteen, was not into like any of the,
Not even Seeger?
No.
Man,
no
what kind of rocks?
Kind of, but they're a pop band. They're like, you know, they're not like.
Wow.
But he had, I never listened to rock music at all growing up. I never heard Stevie Nicks or any of that shit. It was all like, but just a really strange. But again, I never heard the Beatles growing up. I never heard.
Wait, this
any,
is you
like,
or this is him?
Yeah. Me. I never heard the Beatles.
How did you never hear the Beatles?
I did not hear a single Beatles song until I was in high school. It was
so
totally
jealous.
a mystery. It was such a weird, but I did hear like all this weird, like Motown adjacent and then like weird pop music, but never any of that stuff until I was, like never any of the like,
The canonical.
my dad was born in,
Yeah.
my dad was born in 47, and I never heard any like American pop music.
Damn, even my grandpa,
wow.
who just died like 3 years ago and was in his late 80s, loves Steely Dan. Like he had nothing, huh?
I didn't hear Steely Dan at all until I was like in my late 20s.
Wow.
Yeah, really strange.
Did you just not? Did you
No radio?
not listen to the radio ever? Like
no,
growing up,
I mean
as a kid.
No, we had like pop radio, but it was like pop radio was like TLC, R. Kelly. Like it was,
Oh,
it
wow.
was like I just missed all of that.
Weird.
Yeah.
Wow.
But like my folks we listened to music at home, but it was all Motown. It was all like 60s and yeah, very strange.
Weird. That's curious.
Yeah.
That's interesting. It'll give you a different perspective.
Yeah, like Rolling Stones never heard until I was in high school. Like Led Zeppelin. The first time I heard Led Zeppelin, I was like 18.
Wow.
Yeah, really weird.
That's crazy.
Like the weird thing, like the Beatles is like a foundational like rock experience for like most Americans, and I did not ever listen to a Beatles record until I was in my mid 20s probably.
I don't think I've listened to any Beatles record end to end, I have to say. I don't think I think I've heard them enough.
I did it like as homework because it was like, like at a certain point I was like, I should check this out. Like these guys were kind of a big deal.
I have too much other stuff to catch up on. I have to listen to every Wicker Spigot record 20 times. I can't.
Yeah.
There, you know how many refrigerator records there are that I have to know everything about? There's all these 7-inches they never compiled.
Look, there's too many. How are you going to listen to the Beatles when there's an entire fucking Wicker Spigot discography?
Yeah.
To it's like, come on.
It's like 1,200 songs. I have to go listen to Plants 100 times. The cassette only version.
Do you think you'll see Gary Beers when you're in Australia?
I don't know who that is.
He was the bass player for NXS,
Oh,
and his name is Gary Beers.
That's kind of an interesting. That's like a Peter
that's so
Hughes.
strange.
Yeah, I thought you were
Yeah.
making a joke.
No, you should find him. So I know who he is from listening to a Julia Jacklin live performance, where she says that she
did she bring him out on
recorded.
stage?
No, she recorded "Crushing," which I think I'm on record on the Tired Pod as saying one of the best records of the last 10-20 years. But she recorded it at Gary Beers' studio in somewhere in Australia. But he was the bass player from NXS. But she said it in the interview like, oh yeah, we recorded it at this studio that's owned by Gary Beers, and I was like, paused the I was like, wait, like Gary the guy's name is Gary Beers, and it's Beers Beers. I was like, I gotta figure this shit out, and I like looked this guy up. But he is like, yeah, he was the bass player from NXS. Obviously a monumentally successful musician, but just fantastic. You got to meet this guy. He's a 2 first name bass player.
I wonder where he's based. Yeah,
That's extremely funny.
New South Wales
Interesting.
in Sydney. Yeah, he's in Sydney. But
Okay,
I feel like he would meet you at Bathurst if you reached out to him.
I'll DM him.
Yeah.
I'll find him on Instagram, and
He's got to be on there.
Yeah, Gary Beers and Peter.
Gary Peter. Yeah.
Peter Beers is going to be the like one-off cassette. You're doing like furniture style where you just change one word.
Yeah. Well, we could do it. We could do a collab. Here's the thing though too. Every time that I've been to Australia, like I say, a bunch of times. I've spent a fair amount of time over the years in the UK, and in other left-hand driving on the left hand of the street places. However, I have never done it before, and for this, I am going to be renting a car from the airport in Sydney, and driving. Gonna go up and visit a friend, and then drive out to Bathurst the next day, which I have to say I am slightly terrified about, just because I have never done it, and I mean I've logged lots of times in the past, lots of time in the passenger seat. I've seen other people do it, and
it's
go
very
ahead, Rory,
easy.
tell me.
It is very easy to do, the actual driving. But I will tell you.
See, but the other day when I mentioned this, you said it's fucking terrifying.
You did say that. You did say that.
It is.
You did say that
easy.
to my man.
It is very easy to do the driving part of it. You will have no difficulty shifting or using the pedals.
Yeah.
The terrifying part, where you will most likely get killed, is pulling out of intersections and looking the wrong direction.
This is the part that's the part that I'm worried about. Yeah.
That is your instinct is to look to the left and then look to the right, and it is wrong, and it will kill you. Like I like the times that I've done it, like I said, the actual operating the vehicle, very, very easy, very intuitive. The muscle memory of like looking to make sure that you're not going to kill yourself pulling into traffic is absolutely the opposite. You have to be very aware. Yeah. Which you won't do. You would never do that. I would do that. I would get killed pulling into traffic. You, Peter Hughes, would not. You are more organized. You have a better brain than that. My brain's not like that.
Peter, you'll be fine. Everything's gonna go great. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be great at getting it into the proper lane and operating. It's not a problem.
You're not gonna get T-boned by a Ute going 120 miles an hour. You're not gonna get run over by a Hilux going 80 miles an hour.
I fucking wish. That's a dignified death, getting run hit by at least a Hilux. I'm so sick of getting almost hit by like a truck this high in the parking lot at the shop, right?
Oh, baby.
I prefer a Hilux
Believe
any
me.
day.
Just getting smoked, T-boned,
Yeah.
run over, no question. The paramedics walk up in their Australian accents and they're like, nah, he's done, you know?
No, I don't think we can put that back together.
Yeah, he's all right.
No, Morrissey was wrong. Double-decker bus is not the most romantic thing to get hit by. Hilux, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With all the shit
I
on
would
it.
take a Ute, actually. I mean,
Yeah. A Holden.
we should talk about Utes too. But yeah, I mean, I feel like the thing that I've always heard is just the mantra of just stay left, look right. Stay left, look right, you know, and I mean, that kind of jibes with what you're saying, Rory, is that your instinct is to look left. I don't even think about that, but I guess it is. But yeah, it's just to always be looking right. It's funny. I will say, I mean, pretty much every time that I've been a passenger, you know, in a left-hand driving place, it's been with somebody driving who is a native, you know, who's experienced with that, with the exception of and this is like one of the fucking craziest and most impressive things I've ever seen. And we've talked about Mountain Goat's tour manager Brandon Eggleston before. But yeah, I mean, for years when we would go to the UK, we would just have like a local, you know, we didn't bring a tour manager, and we would just have local people that we would lean on. And but I don't remember when this was, maybe like 2009, 2010-ish, somewhere around there. We did a European tour where Brandon came over with us, and so he was going to do his, you know, be our TM, and which means driving. And and we land in London. Okay, so think of it like put this together. Like Brandon's never done this before. He's never driven on the left hand side of the road. We are starting in London, one of the fucking craziest places to drive in the world. And we're in a Sprinter, like a big, Mercedes splitter van. And it's a stick. And Brandon does know how to drive stick, but he hadn't done it in like 20 years. Like he had like a Volkswagen Beetle, like in high school. Right. And so, yeah. And we hit the ground, and it's like, he picks up the van, and now it's just total baptism by fire, and he's got to do it. And we're all fucking, it's like, go Brandon. and he was sweating a bit, but he did it. He pulled it off. It was fine. I think we clipped one, like, we clipped the mirror on the Sprinter on something, on a branch or something, on the left hand side of the van, but that was the closest thing to a mishap that we had. And other than that, it was fine. And yeah. And he said, like, after the first like hour, he said it was like, oh, this is fine.
That's classic Brandon. Yeah. That totally tracks.
It is. Well, I mean, that's the thing. He's just like the most capable dude in the world. But yeah, so that was pretty cool. I just got like I got the cheapest rental car, and so I'm not sure what it'll be, but I don't think it'll be I don't think I'll be shifting with my
holding you
hand.
You should
awesome.
do, Peter. I know, like, we've talked about this, and you have like an itinerary and like some shit to do, but we should really hook you up with some off-roader guys down there, because it's like an entirely different level of.
Is that right? I don't know anything about off-road culture down there. Is that, well, Jesus, I guess, no. Well, I mean, outbacking, right? I mean, going out.
Yeah, no, it is so
into the bush.
Yeah, because like the
big overlanders, right?
Yeah, and the thing of it is like there, because so much of Australia is like unsettled. Like off-roading is very serious, because like it potentially you can end up in a spot where like you are either recovering your car or you are dying in the woods. Like, it's not like the United States where it's like, oh, you're always 50 miles from somewhere. But they also have, like, Australia has really strict rules around how cars can be built. So they have like a maximum tire diameter, which is like, I think 32 inches. They have like all these standards so there's like an Australian way of building a car. That like is meant to keep them relatively safe while also being like massively off-road capable. But like all of my winching and like off-road recovery knowledge comes from watching like YouTube Australian YouTubers. And but you should really, I know you're there for a short time and you have like a purpose, but like, God, if you could spend an extra week, I could hook you up with some of these guys and like, I feel like it is really, it's a different thing. Like I said, like the American thing, by and large, is like off-roading is like going to find some obstacles and like crossing over the obstacles on your way home to where you live. And like in Australia, it is like, again, it's like a matter of survival. Like we're traversing this totally barren area, and like no one will come to get us if we get stuck here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have seen some kind of elements. I mean, even in like urban areas, it is very common to see just regular cars, not off-roader cars, but just like regular everyday, like a Subaru sedan or just, a Mercedes sedan, whatever, with a big, like iron, like what do you call it? Like the things on a cop car, where
like
it's
a
on the
bulb bar,
front,
pusher bar, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And what those are, like I remember
kangaroos.
asking, yeah, they're rhubars. Yeah. because it's not, I mean, it's like, I guess it's even more common than like hitting a deer, that you are going to encounter kangaroos and actually if you there's a pretty great video if you go to YouTube and if you just search on just go to the Bathurst 12-hour, one of the first videos that comes up is there's a funny one where it's just like 20 minutes of Australiana or whatever at Mount Panorama, and it's just they have a procedure in place to like red flag the race. This is something that all the drivers have to be briefed on for when there are kangaroos on the track.
Amazing. Incredible.
And there's this incredible like this footage of like from a few years ago, and I guess it had to do with like weather stuff that was going on, like maybe like there was this big drought and then there had been a bunch of rain, and so like there was a lot of kind of vegetation around the track, and the kangaroos were attracted to that area just because they had been going hungry for a while, and so they're just the skippies. They're skippies are on the track, and the cars are just kind of like idling up the hill, kind of behind them, and you see these dudes. And the thing is, like,
sorry, I found a video: Bathurst versus kangaroos.
They all avoided that kangaroo at the top of the hill. We've seen
hit by a kangaroo. Can you believe it? We've seen them on the track in the past.
You see the water on the lens, and here is Skippy making his annual appearance. Gut-tender. We've got spectators as well. Has he got a pass to be there?
I think he's a photographer.
He's not accredited. He hasn't got on one. There we go. He hasn't got a lanyard. He's out of the way. So he's moved on.
Off you go, mate.
And fucking kangaroos. I mean, the first time that we went down there, I've never seen. I don't think I've seen one in the wild, but the first time we went down, we were offered, the chance to go to like a wild animal park, basically like a kind of nature preserve. It's a zoo, but it's very very naturalistic environments, and it was like, well, fuck yeah, of course. And I remember seeing, like, from a distance, just seeing kangaroos just like hopping around. And I fell down. I was laughing so fucking hard because when you actually see a fucking kangaroo in real life,
so
it's
silly.
Like, how are you real? How are you real? But yeah, so rhubars is definitely a thing that you'll see just everywhere you go. Lots of people have them. Other indigenous Australian car things, we've alluded to Utes, which, if you don't know, are pickup trucks in Australia. Although, this is another kind of parallel evolution thing where it's like, yeah, no, Australians are really into pickup trucks, right? But their trucks, largely, they're the kind of like Chevy El Camino, Ford Ranchero type truck where the front,
it's a car with
the
a
front
truck
half, exactly, and so you have for decades, like the big two in Australia, you had Ford and Holden. Holden was General Motors subsidiary in Australia, and
Ford was Ford subsidiary.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And so you had the Holden Commodore, right? And then the Ford Falcon, and they would make these truck versions of those cars, going back to like 60s, 70s. But and we stopped, like the El Camino. I don't remember when the El Camino ended production here, sometime in the mid 80s.
The 80s,
But they kept going. They kept going up until a few years ago when they I think all the domestic
Americans,
manufacturing has gone away, sadly. But yeah, Utes are everywhere, and they're fucking cool as hell. And they're also because I mean, it's if you're a handyman, if you're a contractor, if you're a plumber, if you're an electrician, you've got a Ute. You know, this is like this is what those guys drive, and so you see them kitted out in like so many different, just kind of cool, various configurations. But they're also the muscle car of choice. And so, you know, so there will be like, and like I say, I mean, this is ended recent, like in like, I mean, what was it, like the last 5 years, right?
Yeah.
But up until then, yeah, you could get like these totally tricked out, factory, muscle cars, big honking V8s, but like lowered with cool, like, you know, flare kits on them. And I mean, they look cool as shit.
Hell yeah.
and they're that's just like, that's the Australian version of like an IROC Z.
Camaro Mustang, yeah.
And they're fucking awesome, and they're everywhere. And like, I remember going down there, like that was one of the things that I geeked out on the most the first time I went down there. I was just like, wait a minute, holy shit, these things are rad.
They almost came to the United States too. There was like a moment in like 2008, 2009 when Pontiac was still around, where like there was enough, really like Jalopnik was a huge part of this, but there was enough like public support behind Utes that like Pontiac was selling Holden G8s as the Pontiac G8 in the US.
Well, they brought over the Holden Monaro as well as the GTO.
Yeah.
I mean, these were just Australian cars Australian muscle cars that GM imported to the US and sold as Pontiacs.
And there was a Detroit Auto Show where I think Ray Wirt from Jalopnik reported that he had talked to, might have been Royce or somebody, but it was like, we will bring you an El Camino. We're going to bring you a G8 Ute to the United States. And then the bankruptcy happened, like the housing crisis happened and ruined the whole thing. But there was a minute there where it was like Australian cars were like, it was like, okay, this is going to happen.
Well, that was exactly, I mean, I think the first time I went down there was like maybe 05 and 05, 06, 07, like in there, like, I mean, we went down like a bunch of times in pretty quick succession, and I remember just thinking that exactly. It's like, why are they? I mean, and especially once they started bringing over the Monaro, you know, as a GTO, and then the G8, it was just like, bring the truck. Give us a fucking Camino, man. It's like, what are you doing?
Hell yeah.
I mean, people, you know, Americans love muscle cars. They love pickup trucks. Yeah. It's like, put it together.
Yeah, we were close.
Yeah.
We're very close.
So disappointing. Never happened.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, you could certainly make a case for that being the divergence point for the United States and for our like current timeline, where like, some people would say it was 9/11, which I don't disagree with entirely, but like that, the financial crisis being like where things really took a turn, like 2008, 2009, where it was like the post-Obama optimism in the United States really like took a downturn toward like, what if the outcomes were like as bleak as you can possibly imagine.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, it was the recession combined with
Iraq.
with Obama like taking office, like, you know, with this huge wave of support and just like and optimism, you know, just like, wow, change, yay. And then so it was like it was the 1-2 punch of I mean, yeah, we had already been primed by fucking shit was not going good after 9/11 in Iraq. Yeah. But then you have this crushing recession, and then you have the follow-up of just like, oh, you know what we're gonna do? Like, you know what, this you know, hugely popular, charismatic guy that's just been like ushered in to office on this wave of enthusiasm and love, and hope. I'm gonna do fucking nothing. I'm gonna do shit.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
I'm gonna be the most cynical president in history.
Peter, do you have anything else to say about Bathurst or your expectations, or are you gonna go with anyone who's been to it before, who's gonna be able to point like spots to you and stuff?
No, I'm going like 100% as a spectator, and just
yes.
I have no responsibilities and no agenda other than just to experience as much as I can. I mean, it's like,
are you gonna show up at 4 a.m?
Oh fuck yeah.
Yeah, of course.
On race day, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'll be there. I'll be there. I think I get there on the Thursday, like midday Thursday afternoon.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know if and I'm staying right next to the track. I did, like, there were a bunch of options, of like fairly spendy options of where to stay. I mean, well, the options are camp. You can camp, which ordinarily would be my first preference. But as I can't drive there with all of my camping gear, and I don't really want to buy a bunch of camping gear down there, I thought, well, better to just stay someplace. And there were a bunch of, like, you know, Airbnb type things or hotels, or, you know, the track has like a program of like affiliated things, and it's like, you know, and like some of it looked like, okay, I could be in town, which is, I mean, it's not that far from the track, but then so I was looking at some of those options, and but then I saw there's this place that I think is like a former nunnery. What's the actual word for a nunnery? Convent.
A convent, yeah.
Like, that sounds so weird just to say nunnery.
I know what you meant.
Get thee to a convent. It's this building that's just like right outside of the track. It seems like it's like literally like 500 meter walk from the from this place to the entrance, and but it's like, I was looking at so it's been converted into like a kind of, I want to say like hotel, but maybe like hostel style hotel. And looking at the reviews of this place, they were like equal parts like people just saying, oh, this is great, this is awesome, wonderful, you know, and then other people are saying, worst place ever, never come here. It's like the worst people, it was a horrible experience, and like and it does seem like I think what my room, I mean, and the thing is, it was like really cheap too.
Yeah.
And so it's
hell
like,
yeah.
okay,
hell fucking
well,
yeah, dude.
Either way, you know, whether good or bad, it'll be a good story. And I think that like I don't think I have a private bathroom. I think it's like a shared bathroom kind of situation. So like kind of hostel style. But yeah, like I say, I mean, at the races, I'm used to just fucking camping and walking down to the big bathroom to take a shower at the end of the day or whatever, in my Crocs. Yeah, whatever, it'll be fine. But yeah, as far as it's like, I'm just going down there just to soak it up and observe. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff I'm looking forward to seeing, a bunch of like cool cars. There's this one Lamborghini that runs every year with the most like psychotic paint job on a race car that I've seen. Like it's like the what's the famous it's like the 69 or 70 Porsche 917 that's like the psychedelic.
Oh, the hippie car? Yeah.
The psychedelic hippie Porsche, where it's like it's like this
purple
crazy
and white.
purple and green kind of psychedelic pattern. Like it's on a par with that. It's like this, it's a red and white Lamborghini, but it's a red car, and then it has just like these kind of like wavy, like concentric wavy white stripes that kind of emanate from the middle of the car and then just like kind of ripple out over the entire thing. It looks fucking crazy. Yeah. And it's there, I feel like it's there every year. And I mean, I'm sure it's like, I don't know that it's the same exact car, but it's the same team that runs this particular livery. And they never show, you never get like a real, like, you never get a really good look at it. It's always just like, and so I'm looking forward to seeing that car in real life just because it's so wild looking. Yeah. I don't know the name of the team. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be a bunch of drivers who are competing at Daytona are going down. And yeah, it's I don't know. I just want to see it. I want to be there. Man. So
yeah, it's a dream. It's like absolute bucket list race, like one of the ones that you have to go to. Like it's Le Mans, Daytona, and then like the NASCAR Daytona, and then Bathurst is like right up there. It's like one of the dream. So I'm super excited for you to go.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Nürburgring 24 is on there too, but I don't know. I as an anti-Zionist Jew, I don't know that I would be welcome in Germany anymore at this point. So, no, I could go for sure. Yeah. It's like a Ubermensch type guy, right? Big, like, to be like, all right, yeah, this guy.
A+.
Great.
Yeah.
Love having this guy here.
Yeah. But yeah. So instead of Nürburgring 24, Bathurst 12. I mean,
sick.
I'll have a better time hanging out with Australians than I would with Germans, anyways. No offense to you.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I think that's a pretty universal experience.
Yeah. Set your watch by that one.
No offense to our German listeners, but not a fun people, really.
Yeah. What else? Any other? Oh, the other thing. I mean, not Bathurst related, but as far as just like car spotting stuff.
Yeah.
Because Australia market does get some stuff that we do not get, and one thing that's fun about going down there is you do see. Like there's a lot of Japanese stuff like from the 80s and 90s that, I mean, climate wise, it does have that kind of Portland or Pacific Northwest thing, where cars, do last a long time down there. So you do see some really cool vintage, machinery just being daily driven, which is like, that's my favorite thing. I feel like the last time I saw a Mitsubishi Cordia was in Australia. Nice. Kind of 80s favorite. I mean, that was one of the first, when Mitsubishi came to the US market in, I want to say 83. That was one of their first, they had the Starion and the Tredia, and the Cordia was their kind of two-door hatchback kind of sporty coupe. And those have all disappeared from the US decades ago. So super exciting to see one. There's always like that kind of stuff that you end up seeing, but I'm also curious to see there's Chinese stuff that's
Chinese stuff
there.
Yeah, there's gonna be a ton of Chinese cars there. Yeah.
And one other thing is the there's that Hyundai Staria. Do you guys know about this van? It's a minivan, 5-door minivan.
A little bit of Previa energy.
I think they're so fucking cool looking. and like I remember when these came out, I saw pictures of them somewhere, and I was just like, oh, please bring that to the US, and they haven't.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
I wanted, when we were in El Salvador, I tried to go to a Hyundai dealership to see if I could see one there, and I don't think they had one, or maybe they might not import it to El Salvador either. But yeah, that's
It's your white whale.
That's my white whale. That's my goal, my car spotting goal. I want to see a fucking Hyundai Staria in real life, just because I think they're so sick.
No, yeah, that's a whip.
You got to hang out with Gary Beers. That's my big goal. I know it's not on your list, but Peter has to hang out with Gary.
It's true.
Just,
well, maybe there needs to be a
players.
follow-up trip. Maybe there needs to be a follow-up trip where we do that. We do some overlanding.
You should do some. You should see if you can get into a cage with the great white too. I know you got a lot of shit going on down there, but
get into a cage with a great white. I mean, yeah.
Do you think?
You know what? You're right. Yeah. It's like I feel like I've done a lot, not most, but a lot. I feel like I've done a lot of the kind of classic Australian things that you're supposed to do. I've gone to the good beaches. I've swam in both, Pacific and Indian Oceans. I've seen koalas. I've seen fucking kangaroos. I've drank beer. I've watched Aussie Rules football. I've gone to an Aussie Rules football game.
Nice.
And by the way, Aussie Rules football, if you don't know, I am of the opinion that it is the best sport. That it combines all of the best elements of every other sport, in terms of just like it's got the it's got like the kind of fluidity of and kind of of like basketball, soccer, hockey, like those sports where it isn't like start stop. It's got the fucking violence of football, hockey, American football, yeah, but without the pads, it's like they're it's like they're just it's kind of it's rugby-ish in that it's like I mean it's kind of a cousin of rugby. It has the like the history and tradition of baseball. Like, I mean, there are teams that have been going for like since like the 19th century. Like some of the Victorian teams like have histories. So it's like that go back further than like the New York Yankees. For instance, and that have maintained those team identities. Over for like 150 years at this point, which is just like, that's crazy. Crazy. And it's the most fun. And it's also like another funny thing about it is that, I mean, these are, I mean, it's a huge fucking deal down there, right? I mean, these guys are massive celebrities, but they're also kind of like weirdly like how you imagine like maybe baseball was in the US like in the 1950s, where it's like, yeah, these guys are your heroes, but you might also see them like at the supermarket or something. Like they're actually like working jobs during the off season. that's what these guys are like, you know? And I remember like for a few years, like for whatever reason, we were always down there like during the season. And there would be times where like, we'd be walking because you fly every day when you tour down there, or you fly from city to city. And we would see like the whole teams at the airport, like, and people would just be like, they'd have their pom poms and their cards and stuff, and it would be like cheer. Like I remember like walking to a gate and like where somehow we ended up like kind of in the midst of all of these like football players. Yeah, and I can't remember what team it was. I'd have to think. But Essendon or something. Sure. Sounds right. But they were on their way to like a championship game, and it was like the Adelaide. What's the Adelaide team? Were they the Crows? And we're walking through the airport like kind of alongside these guys. We're not trying to be with them. It's just like kind of just how it ended up. And there's like corridors of people just like cheering, just like yeah. It was just like the funniest, craziest shit. Just like I say, it is like the United States of like 50 years ago in a weirdly. I mean, they have also. I mean, it's 20 years now since the first time I went down there. And I feel like in that time they have embarked on a program of kind of the U.S. influence race to the bottom program that I think the entire Western neoliberal world is together on. We have a considerable head start on them, and I'm hoping that's like I say, it's been a minute for me.
Dude, yeah, if you could go to a place that's like the United States in 2014, it would feel like an absolute fucking wonderland.
Right?
It's like 2014 was not a good time for us. But if you go back to 2014 from now, you'd be like, God damn.
Yeah, I'd take
this.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh boy, were we full of optimism.
Are you guys going to see the Bob Dylan movie?
With Timothée Chalamet in it?
Timothée Chalamet.
I have not gone to the theater in I don't know how many years. Too expensive. I don't see movies.
Are you going to see it?
I might see it at some. I mean, that's like for me, that's an airplane movie. Like that's not something I would go out of my way to see.
I have this thing where this is good pod content, but I have this thing where my friend John and I watch all of the Oscar contenders every year, just because it's like it's just like a good way to catch up on movies,
Sure.
And he'll come over. He's got this super cute baby who I like to hang out with. It's just like a real sweet, really fat little boy. But I like to watch these movies. And he thinks we should go see this Dylan movie. I like there's like probably 10 or 15 Bob Dylan songs that I really like. But I'm not like into him. I think he's kind of like a weirdo and like probably not a good guy.
Yeah. No, he's a big time weirdo.
Probably not.
He's probably top not, 10 like people who's the inside of their brain you really don't want to.
Yeah, I think he's kind of not a good man. But but
musically.
Yeah, well, there's a handful of songs that I'm like very very into.
I would go see the movie if I could bring John Worster with me and have him just point at things and be like, nope, nope.
Yeah.
No, drums are not correct. That's not true. That didn't happen. That happened like this. I want the John Worster like pop-up video on that movie.
Yeah.
I want the John Worster director's commentary on that movie is what I want.
Yeah. Like I would also want my brother's comment. My brother is a huge Dylan guy.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird. For me, Dylan was one of those guys who I could never, ever crack. And like I just didn't get it for the until just a few years ago.
You were telling me at a show in like 2019, 2018, pre-COVID at some point that you had gotten I kind of got more into Dylan.
Well, I finally just like kind of cracked the code on it a little bit. But yeah, I mean, like for most of my life, I was just like, I would try, because I mean, that's the thing. It's like one of those guys where it's like, everybody says this is like the greatest,
it's like me trying to get into the Dead every 10 years.
Yeah. See that I just completely disagree with anybody who says that they're the greatest. I think they're fucking wrong and crazy.
I can't listen to them at all. I can't.
Yeah, no,
I try.
No, thank you.
I try so
Absolutely not.
hard.
You know what's funny is Noah Colwyn's gotten super into them, and so I see a lot of live tweets of Noah Colwyn being like, "It happened, it happened to me."
It's a fucking inevitability of like becoming a 40-year-old is that you get into the Grateful Dead.
Look,
and every 40-year-old that I know,
50 fucking
I can't do it
now, and they still suck.
Listen,
that shit
I have
is
tried
still garbage.
I have tried. I have emptied my brain of any anti-Dead sentiment and tried to listen to. And there's maybe like 2 Grateful Dead songs that I like can listen to, and the rest of it is just
where it's just like, oh, okay, this is like a passable whatever catchy tune or something,
rock song from whoever,
right.
But I'm not gonna. I don't give a shit. I don't care about the 1973 version that was recorded at whatever. It's like these guys are pretty good players playing some very boring music.
They're not even that good of players.
Yeah, like pretty. That's what I said. They're pretty good players.
playing, exactly.
Like pretty boring music,
right? Yeah. But going back to Dylan, for whatever reason, like I think I just like bought a copy of what's the one that has? It's the one
Highway
that has
63.
What's that?
On the tracks.
Highway 61. Revisited. Yeah, I bought a copy of that just like cheap at a record store and brought it home and listened to it, and suddenly it was just like and that's the one. I mean, it opens with like a Rolling Stone, but then it has like a bunch of like really great songs that I had like never. I mean, it's a rock record, but it's like it's sloppy, it's cool, it's like I don't know, for whatever reason, like suddenly it made sense to me, and it's like, oh, I get this now. And then I kind of, from there kind of started working my way into some of the other records. I mean, I've never gone like crazy deep full discography, but I do get it now.
The 80s thing.
And I did go and see him like pretty soon after we moved back to Rochester. He played at the our kind of local beautiful old theater. It was a really interesting and cool show. Like I did enjoy it. Worcester is a big collector of crazy Dylan stories, and one of my favorite ones ever was just like some friend of his. It's kind of friend of a friend kind of story, but some LA kind of showbiz friend got invited to a party at Dave Stewart's house, the guy from the Eurythmics. And Dylan was there, and this guy's like a huge Dylan fan, right? And so he's just like, he's just kind of quietly in awe and just kind of just trying to be like a fly on the wall or whatever. And how did the story go? It's like Dylan this guy had like ended up at this party somehow, like with a friend, like maybe he had gotten dropped off at this house or something. He didn't have a ride, or his anyway. And Dylan had driven there like in like his pickup truck. And at some point, like towards the end of the night, somebody's asking around, say, hey, Bob needs to put gas in his truck. But he can't do it himself because he's like, you know, he's just too weirded out by, you know, he doesn't want to have to deal with anybody. Like he's afraid of people approaching him or whatever. Is there anybody who, you know, would anybody willing to just, you know, go with him just to, you know, they're up in the hills, you know, Hollywood Hills.
Yeah. This is and this is also like very much eliciting my, this is a Rory experience. Like this is something that would happen to me.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the guy's like, oh, I'll do it. I'll do it. Sure.
Yeah.
And so he's like, holy shit, I'm gonna go, you know, so they go out to his truck. They drive down the hill. There's a gas station, you know, quarter mile down the road. They pull in, and the guy jumps out and just like he doesn't even ask, like he just like runs his own card and just starts like, you know, filling up and you know, finishes, puts the pump back in the thing and goes to get back in the truck, like thinking like Dylan is gonna give him
driving back
to the house, you know, and he goes to get in and the door's locked and he's like, you know, hey, he's like knocking, and Dylan just looks at him and he just goes, nah, man, and he just drives off and fucking leaves this guy there. The thing is, he doesn't know how to get back to the house, so he's just like stuck there. And I think like maybe he had even left his phone like at the house or something, so he was just like completely fucked, right? because
yes.
he went with Bob Dylan, bought him a tank of gas, and then gets fucking stiffed,
abandoned. Yep.
And just left, and he has to like find his, you know, somehow. I don't remember what the resolve was to the story, like how he found his way back or got his phone back or got home or any of it.
All right, this is a Maddie. This is a teaser trailer. We got to put this out, the Dylan story, because it'll be topical right now. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the last time I heard this story was, I feel like I got like, there were a couple of more, like, I mean, but this was like 2 years ago. It was, I remember like Worcester and I talking, like sharing Dylan stories, like when we were recording the last record. But yeah, so it's like, I wish I had the story fresher in my mind, but that's the basic outline of it. And the part, the punchline of just like, nah, man. Just like the guy just being like, what the fuck?
I just bumped your gas.
So funny.
That's such a like, I tell ya, like, I'm a nice guy. I don't think I'd get caught that flat-footed doing something for a rich person. I don't know if I would, like, I'm kind of, because, like, man, like, you're gonna...
I would. Every single time. People ask me to do something, I'm like, yeah, fuck it, I'll do it. Like,
listen, I'm perfectly helpful, but I'm like, it's like, Bob Dylan, I'm like, he can solve problems himself.
I'm the dumbest, most helpful guy. Be like, yeah, absolutely. And it's also like, if it's Bob Dylan, it's like, I build in the possibility that I'm going to get dumped or left behind, or it'll be weird, or like I'll get shot or whatever. But it's like, I got to do it. Like, I got to see what it's like to get.
It's like that guy. Yeah. I mean, he got like a story that
a crazy story. Yeah.
You know, I mean,
I got to do it. Yeah. I don't. This is like my life story is being in those situations and being like, yep, that's me. I'll do it. Like I will.
It's a watch. I'm gonna let 5 other people be like, I'll buy gas for Mr. Dylan. Like, all right, and then my job is oh my God, did he leave him at the gas? Yeah, I'll go get him from the gas
Right.
station.
Yeah,
Exactly.
my
That's
job.
where you get. That's
I'm
where
the
you
guy.
come in.
Yeah, I call you, Maddie,
You're
when
the
things
guy
go
who,
really wrong.
Yes.
rescues the guy who went.
You go to the
Yeah.
gas station, you call me, and I'm Dylan left you, huh? Yeah, I'm on
Yep.
my way, bud.
Maddie,
I'm your
I've been
man.
stabbed. I got stabbed again, Maddie. Come
I
get
know,
me.
brother. I'm on my. I got those little. I got that expanding first aid pack on me already. I keep it in the glove box.
All right, boyos.
Too funny.
Should we?
Stay tired, guys.
Stay
While
tired.
I'm gone.
Stay tired, man. Have a good time out there.
Thanks.